There's a moment people don't expect. It doesn't feel like a breakthrough. It doesn't feel like healing. It doesn't even feel particularly good. It's the moment when effort stops hurting. And instead of relief, what often shows up first is confusion. Because for a long time, effort and strain felt inseparable. If something mattered, it was hard. If you were growing, it hurt. If you were doing life correctly, there was pressure somewhere. So when effort continues but the strain disappears, it can feel unsettling, almost suspicious. You might wonder if you've gone numb, if you've lost discipline, if you're no longer trying hard enough. But something else is happening. Effort hasn't disappeared. Resistance has. For much of life, effort meant pushing against yourself. You didn't just act, you overrode. You overrode hesitation. You overrode fatigue. You overrode doubt. Effort required tension. Even when you liked what you were doing, there was an edge. A tightness underneath. You braced yourself before starting. You pushed yourself to continue. You told yourself not to stop. That internal pressure became normal. So normal that you stopped noticing it. Strain felt like the cost of being functional, the cost of being responsible, the cost of being someone who gets things done. Then quietly that strain starts to dissolve. Not all at once, not dramatically. You still do the things you do, but you're no longer forcing yourself through them. And that's when the questions start. Why does this feel easier? Why am I not pushing? Why don't I feel that familiar resistance? Effort without strain doesn't feel triumphant. It feels oddly neutral. You act because something needs doing. You stop when it's done. No internal argument. No need to motivate yourself aggressively. No need to power through. This can feel unfamiliar if you've built your identity around perseverance, around grit, around pushing no matter what. When effort stops hurting, it can feel like something essential is missing. But what's missing isn't commitment. It's friction. Friction came from trying to make yourself be somewhere else. From using effort to bridge the gap between who you were and who you thought you should be. When that gap closes or stops mattering, effort no longer needs to fight. You may notice this first in small ways. You start a task without dreading it. You finish without feeling depleted. You don't need to reward yourself afterward. You don't need to recover emotionally. You just did it, and then you move on. This doesn't mean the task was easy. It may have required focus. It may have required skill, but it didn't require self-opposition. That's the difference. Effort that doesn't hurt is effort that isn't trying to overcome you. Earlier, effort was often a negotiation. One part of you wanted to act. Another part resisted, and effort was the force that won. Without strain, there's no internal standoff. Action arises from alignment with the moment, not alignment with a goal, not alignment with an identity, alignment with what's here. This changes how fatigue feels. Earlier, fatigue felt like failure, like evidence that you weren't managing yourself well, that you weren't strong enough. Without strain, fatigue becomes informational. It tells you when effort has reached its natural end. So you stop, not because you're quitting, but because there's nothing to push against anymore. And stopping doesn't feel like collapse. It feels appropriate. Effort without strain also changes how you relate to discipline. Discipline once meant forcing consistency, showing up regardless of internal state. And that approach had value, carried you through times when structure mattered. But it also taught you to ignore your limits, to distrust your body, to treat resistance as an enemy. Without strain, discipline becomes quieter. You still show up, but you don't override yourself. You respond to capacity. You work when energy is present. You rest when it's not. There's no moral weight attached. No sense that you're being good or bad. You're being responsive. Effort without strain also softens how you relate to productivity. You're not trying to squeeze value out of every moment. You're not trying to justify your existence through output. You do what's needed, and then you stop. There's no compulsion to fill the space. No anxiety about slowing down. This can feel uncomfortable at first, because productivity once gave you reassurance. told you that you were useful, that you were moving. Without that reassurance, there's a pause. And that pause can feel like emptiness. But it isn't. It's space you're not used to inhabiting. Effort without strain also changes how you experience success. Success no longer validates you. It doesn't prove that you tried hard enough. It's just an outcome. You acknowledge it, and then you continue. There's no emotional spike, no identity reinforcement. This can feel anticlimactic, but it's also stabilizing. You're not riding the highs and lows of performance. You're just living. Effort without strain also changes how you experience failure. Failure no longer feels personal. It doesn't mean you didn't push enough. It means something didn't work. So you adjust. There's no self-attack, no shame, no need to prove yourself next time. You learn because learning is useful, not because failure threatens your worth. This makes growth quieter, but more honest. Effort without strain shows up clearly in creative work. You don't force inspiration. You don't push output to stay relevant. You create when something is moving. You stop when it's not. And instead of losing momentum, the work often deepens. Because you're not producing to escape discomfort. You're responding to interest, curiosity, contact. Effort without strain also affects how you relate to time. You're not rushing effort to finish faster. You're not stretching it to fill space. You work at the pace the work requires. Some things move quickly, some move slowly. You don't judge either. Time stops pressuring you. Effort stops racing. This episode isn't saying that effort should always feel pleasant. Effort can still be tiring, can still demand attention, can still challenge you. But challenge doesn't require tension. Difficulty doesn't require self-opposition. You can do hard things without hurting yourself in the process. Living in the space between means effort is no longer fueled by fear. Fear of falling behind, fear of stopping, fear of becoming irrelevant. Without those fears, effort becomes clean, direct, situational. You're not trying to prove anything. You're not trying to get somewhere. You're meeting what's here. That's why it doesn't hurt anymore. If you're listening to this and noticing that you're still doing things, working, caring, showing up, but without the internal grind that used to accompany effort, you're not losing discipline. You're losing friction. And friction was never the point. It was just the byproduct of trying to force movement. Effort that doesn't hurt is not a sign that you're disengaged. It's a sign that you're no longer fighting yourself. And that's a quiet but profound shift. If this reflection helped you recognize a change in how effort feels in your own life, you're welcome to stay with the season as it continues. Liking the video helps it reach others who may think struggle is the only proof of sincerity. And if someone you care about is exhausted from always pushing, you're welcome to share this with them, only if it feels right. Effort doesn't need to hurt to matter. Sometimes, the most honest work happens when you stop pushing against yourself and simply respond.